Carbon emissions from activities like energy use, deforestation, and agriculture are impacting ecosystems, economies, and communities. Without action, future generations may face rising temperatures and fragile ecosystems. Now is our chance to safeguard the planet and build a thriving future.
The carbon sequestration business was brought to fruition in our KBH group and industrial due to a need of bettering our carbon position as a company. We have heavy machinery, we charter vessels, and we would like to sequester the carbon that we have put out by using the vessels. And that has turned us down a road of looking into methodology to right the position that we've put into, as well as potentially finding a gap to be able to increase our scope as a business and look into the business aspect of it. So our target is not only to assist KBH's carbon position, but to also look at sequestration potential than what we're acquiring, and create a business, create jobs, create the rest of it, and find a new industry that we can be involved with.
My name is Linda Henderson, and I'm a real estate agent from State Level. I was the agent who sold the farm 8 Cake to Alessio, and was quite interested to find out why he was looking at property in this area. The Spekboom project was quite surprising to me. I didn't understand it, but when he explained it, it made perfect sense to me.
We're sitting on farm 8 Cake. It's 1,184 hectares. And we are planning to plant out the whole thing. We've planted out about 600 hectares so far. We've got about 5.7 million plants in the ground at the moment. This area was traditionally a semi-tropical thicket system, and it's actually been overgrazed to the point of being called the desert system.
The Karoo is typically a small stock farming area, and through the years, degradation of the soil has happened through probably uninformed farming practices. It has been a concern for us for a long time how to bring back the health of the soil. The Karoo is part of a drought-stricken area, and it needed attention. Although the farmers have been looking after the soil for a number of years through organized agriculture, there was a need to re-look at what we were doing to the soil.
I'm Jackie Pastor. I have an environmental consulting background, and I started off in nature conservation. I've always been really passionate about rehabilitation and fixing up things in the environment, and had a stint with the Land Rehabilitation Society of Southern Africa. And when this project came along, I was recommended by one of the carbon consultancies to KBH, because I have worked with other environmental firms that have implemented similar projects in a carbon sequestration environment.
The point of our project at the moment, and where we're looking at going forward, is we are trying to increase our project scope from a 1,200 hectare project that we've already funded and we are moving forward with. Our intention is to increase it to phase 2, being 5,000 hectares on 1,000 hectares per year to be planted out, and then thereafter, after year 2030, the intention is to receive certificates back of growth on a yearly basis going forward. And we are out in the market looking for funding to move that forward.
I think we've got a great project going here. I think we are doing it differently to how other people doing similar projects are implementing it. And the use of an indigenous pioneer species like Spekboom is allowing us to rehabilitate very denuded areas by mass planting in order to create an environment that will allow the biodiversity in the area to come back. It'll cool down the temperature of the soil. It will allow the carbon sequestration to start happening. and ultimately it will give us a project that at the end of the day we'll be trading credits in order to restore the environment back to the Albany thicket that it once was. And the project has got great scale and scope because there are vast areas in close proximity to the project where this could be rolled out going forward. So this is just the pilot stage of what would become a very big project in the Eastern Cape, which I think is going to have a lot of impact on the neighbouring communities, the people in the area, and the country as a whole. It's part of South Africa's 2030 goal, and we are part of that.
There's many companies that burn out our oxygen, and the spec help us.
The Spekboom was a low-hanging fruit that is available. It is a very easily propagated plant. It is done via cuttings that you root and then you get back into the floor. A lot of the Eastern Cape Albany thicket was removed so that you could have farmland or grasslands, and it didn't actually happen like that. The topsoil was washed away, and we're sitting in a situation where you've got desertification, and we are trying to remove that or reverse that. And that's the intention of the Spekboom, the low-hanging fruit that can achieve our goal.
Okay, the amazing thing about the Spekboom is that it can survive these cycles of drought in the Karoo, and that you can plant it and it can withstand the conditions and flourish as soon as it gets a bit of rain. So this makes it the perfect plant to try and get the carbon back into the soil.
The thing that amazes me, and that a number of us weren't even aware of in the beginning, is the level of overgrazing that has occurred here previously, generationally, that the fence line effect that we see is very much more evident, but people have only ever seen it while in their own time. Their fathers had the same fence line effect. They aren't aware of what the environment looks like when you take the grazing pressure off the land, and what this area would have looked like a couple of 100 years ago, before the grazing came in and before the overgrazing happened, because primarily British pastoralists wanted to create open pastures, and wild animals were catching the new settlers in the area, and they needed to open up the thicket. And they literally started overgrazing back in the days of the settlers. And what we see now and what we want to recreate is going to take not that long, but it is generationally going to take that amount of time before we get back to what is an Albany thicket.
Our operations consist of three main functions, and the main functions are harvesting. We harvest intact thicket, endemic species from the intact thicket. We harvest material from there, and then we put them into our nursery and root them. Once they're rooted, we are able to then take them out of the trays and then plant them into the ground. So we decant the trays, we put them into the bags, and then we carry the bags out into the field where the guys plant the material, the rooted material. The team consists of about 80 people, and those 80 people consist of men and women. The men themselves go in with a pick, and then the ladies come in afterwards and plant the material. So we've also got quite a nice team going, and everybody gets on very well, and everybody has a lot of fun out in the field. So we're very happy with the operations.
I love the fact that when we are going out and doing the auditing of the newly planted sites, and after the first rains, we saw the difference that the vegetation that has come back in terms of its biodiversity has been immense. It's been far more than we ever thought it was going to be, just because we are keeping the herbivores out of the environment. And that is one part of the project that is paramount, is that our fencing is adequate and that there is no grazing while these plants establish.
We're very proud of being able to give opportunities to the local community and being able to give households income in this environment. There's very little jobs out here in the State Level community. In fact, the whole of this side of the Eastern Cape, there's very little jobs. Unfortunately, due to drought, the stock farmers have had to reduce their numbers significantly, and there's really not a lot of work out there. So we've been able to employ a lot of people from the community, and we've had actually about 300 people walk through our doors.
Me, I'm a single mother. I'm not divorced yet, but me and my husband are separated. And I don't get support from him for the children. I have 3 boys. I don't have support from him for the children, but with the money I can manage.
2 years ago, when COVID-19 started, life wasn't so easy without work and so on. No income in the house, pension fund coming in and so on, ma'am. Then I heard of this project called KBH Carbon. Ever since I've started working here, it turned me into a better person because I now know what it's like to have a responsibility and to see someone happy. Well, not by just giving them money, but to see someone happy, because you can provide for them for a long time, like for the whole month, them knowing that at the end of the month you're going to bring something back into the house for them. That kind of made me proud, man.
Being able to give people the opportunity to raise their standard of living and to be able to buy some things that they've never been able to before. We've also got people here that have never been in their own housing situation, and they've been able to move out of, say, their parents' house and have their own little place to stay and whatnot. So those are all very nice, heartwarming stories that come out of people being employed in this place.
When we started the project, the information was not available. We were, to be honest, even within this company, we were laughed at a little bit with the idea. I think the intention within the company was always to plant trees because it's a good thing to do. The idea that you potentially could be paid for carbon sequestration was an idea that wasn't completely taken as feasible. Even now, I mean, there's always the second guess, even internally within myself. Is it real? Is the idea that I am planting trees in the Eastern Cape and somebody's going to pay me to do something that they can't physically get a benefit out of directly is a very hard concept to understand. It's a Bitcoin idea. It's an intangible idea. The difference with it, though, is that there is a tangible asset, being carbon wood in the floor in an area that was desertified 200, 300 years ago by overgrazing. There's a physical property that luckily does show that we actually are doing something that's beneficial, whether it be soil, whether it be water, whether it be the carbon sequestration. There's a substantial benefit out of what we're doing.
Investing in carbon credits empowers companies to meet regulations, cut costs, and enhance their brand while tackling climate change. It's a strategic move to drive innovation, secure a sustainable future, and promote biodiversity, creating a greener, more resilient planet.